Hey. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Oops,
Pardon me.
you can hear an echo.
Oh. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. The Richmond Board of Education acknowledges and thanks the First Peoples of the Hunkaminam Language Group, on whose traditional and unceded territories we teach, learn, and live. Item 1 on tonight's agenda is recognition of visitors' announcements and trustee updates. We have no recognition of visitors, but we do have 2 announcements. Do I have trustees? Go ahead, Trustee Wong.
Thank you, Chair, Madam. Support Staff Recognition Day on November 5th, 2024. The Richmond School District recognizes the efforts and contributions made by its support staff throughout the year. More than 1,000 support staff roles operate within our district, and all these individuals play an important role in the success of our school system. Your dedication and commitment to supporting our school communities, whether working behind the scenes or directly with students, are essential to the success of our schools. On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to express my gratitude to all of our support staff who help to make the Richmond School District the best place to learn and lead. Thank you for your tireless efforts and for being the backbones of our school district. Your contributions are deeply appreciated, and we are grateful for everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Tabotny.
Every year on November 11th, Canadians pause in a silent moment of remembrance, reflecting on the sacrifices of those who have served and continue to serve our country, both at home and abroad. These individuals play a pivotal role in safeguarding our peace and freedom, enabling us to lead the lives that we cherish today. In recognition of our efforts as a district to commit to truth and reconciliation, we also shine a spotlight on the invaluable role of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people of Canada, who have a long and proud history of military service to our country. As many as 12,000 Indigenous Canadians demonstrated immense courage and made significant sacrifices during 2 world wars and the Korean War. This Remembrance Day, we extend our heartfelt appreciation to the memory and diverse contributions of all our veterans.
Thank you. Madam Secretary Treasurer, are there any materials not included in the package available to the public?
Madam Chair, thank you for that question. All information has been made publicly available on the district's website. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're at adoption of agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Yes, Trustee Wang.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. So I'd like to request that we add an agenda item regarding a letter we received from the Minister of Immigration, Citizen Services to our board, and if we could put that under correspondence, I
Certainly.
think that'll.
Okay, thank you. That's under item 12. Thank you.
Sorry, Chairperson, I should probably mention that the letter is publicly available on the
Please,
website
yes.
as well, so just for
Thank you.
disclosure.
Okay, so this has been added. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder to approve. Okay, Trustee Yang, oh my goodness, pardon me, sorry. Trustee Wong, and seconded by trustee Trebotny. All those in favor? Yes, thank you. Okay, we have no presentation briefs or special recognition. So we're moving on to questions from the public. We welcome anyone to come forward with questions regarding any of our agenda items. Okay. Not this evening. So we're on to our executive report from our superintendent.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. As always, it's a pleasure to present my executive report. There's so much happening and so much to celebrate in our district. To date, I have spent considerable amount of time in classrooms, engaging with staff and students. I've also had the pleasure of engaging with parents and community members during some of these visits. The dedication of our teachers and support staff has been instrumental in creating dynamic and engaging learning environments in schools across our district. During my visits, I observed the interactions between students and educators, and I pay close attention to how teachers and support staff are working together to support learning and well-being in our schools. Aligned with our strategic priorities, our schools embody the principles of excellence, creativity, and inclusion. I want to acknowledge the kindness and professionalism of our staff. Their hard work and dedication not only foster a nurturing atmosphere, but also set a strong foundation for our students to flourish. Contributions of staff are invaluable, and I'm deeply grateful for their unwavering support and passion for public education. As we further our discussions about the next iteration of our district strategic plan, we'll continue to work together as a learning community to ensure that every student feels valued, supported, and included within our school community. The efforts to embrace diversity and promote equity and inclusion are evident in our schools and workplaces throughout the district. These efforts not only enrich educational experiences, but also prepare our students to flourish in a diverse and global society where everyone is connected. The world as we know it today is changing rapidly. Advances in technology and artificial intelligence, AI, will impact how we teach, how we learn, and how we assess learning. Our students are not only acquiring knowledge, but also developing critical thinking skills, creativity, and a love for learning. The next iteration of our strategic plan will reflect this reality because our students are definitely going to be the change agents of the future, both today and looking forward. And indeed, as we look forward, I'm confident that we'll continue to build on a solid foundation of excellence, what we've come to know as the Richmond Way, ensuring that our schools remain places of high-quality education, inclusivity, and growth. And by doing so, we will ensure that the conditions are right for all students in our district to flourish. Tonight, we'll hear from students and staff from Steveston London. And you can see the bright stars sitting in the room with their proud principals behind their cheering them on. Again, before I turn my attention to that, I just want to thank the board and staff, both senior team and everyone in the organization as we'll continue to work together, demonstrating commitment to ensuring that all students are successful and flourish in our district. At this time, I'd love to invite Assistant Superintendent Brodyham to offer some remarks and to introduce the team of experts that are here in the boardroom. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Superintendent Yusi. Good evening, trustees. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce the guests from Steveston London Secondary School who are going to be speaking to you tonight about equity and inclusion and how it lives out at Steveston London Secondary. They're going to talk about the significance of equity, how it's integrated into the values and practices at the school. Their presentation tonight will include some videos as well, talking about the SELF program, Indigenous focused coursework, And they are also going to talk about their equity mural project, as well as a few more items that they have prepared for us tonight. Recently, Stevenson London Secondary hosted a delegation of educators from the Robert Bosch Foundation in Germany and had an opportunity to share their work on an international level. And it was very exciting to get to share the work of equity and inclusion in our school district with those visitors. So joining this evening, and I'll have the group join me up here in just a moment, is Principal Annie Varghese from Stevenson London Secondary School, and 5 grade 12 students, Rachel Yu, Jenna Bindra, Anushka Nijwan, Michelle Wang, and Jenny Jin. Also on the video, you're going to see staff members Jen Gerard, Jen McBurney, Katie Laxamone, Miles McEwen, and Brooke Sahota. So I will invite the group from Stevenson London to come forward and share their great work with us. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you all for taking the time to listen to our presentation on equity and inclusivity at Stevenson London Secondary School. We are Anushka, Michelle, Jenna, Jenny, and Rachel. We would like to first acknowledge and thank the first people of the Hunkaminam language group, on whose traditional and unceded territories we teach, learn, and live. At Stevenson London, we prioritize the inclusion of students through careful and dedicated research and collaborations with members of our community, receiving input from people of all accessibilities, backgrounds, and identities. Our goal at SLSS is to foster a welcoming and accessible environment where all students feel comfortable, included, and safe to be themselves. Today, we represent the leadership and initiative of our school, but not all identities, as each and every individual is unique to oneself. Here is one of our first projects, which focuses on truth and reconciliation. Displayed is a mural curated from the hard work and collaboration of students. On orange paper t-shirts, students put one personal action or mindset that will help us take a step forward towards reconciliation. And then we put it on our library window for students to see. Next, we will present a short video of 3 SLSS teachers and how they embed Indigenous perspectives into their teaching.
We are Jen, and Katie, and we are 3 of the First Peoples teachers at Stevenson London Secondary. The Indigenous graduation requirement mandates that all students in BC take one of the senior level First Peoples courses created by the BC Ministry of Education. The development of curriculum and teaching of these courses is guided by a set of learning principles articulated by Indigenous elders, scholars, and knowledge keepers called the First Peoples Principles of Learning, known as the FPPL. One of these principles focuses on the importance of experiential learning and sense of place.
This last principle is one that has resonated especially deeply with us, and one that we have tried to implement with intention into our courses. Student feedback at the end of the year also confirmed that this was what had the most impact on their learning experiences. Let me share with you an email that I received from a student this September. I have settled into a very comfortable routine, but I'm emailing to tell you about a very special encounter with an Indigenous couple last night. After complimenting and asking about the Gitxsan husband's traditional bag, I was invited by them to sit down, and we ultimately ended up having dinner together. I really began to appreciate what I learned in your class as we had conversations about life in BC and indigeneity, everything from identity to land rights. I was able to share with them the different cultural experiences I participated in, and even learned some Hunkaminam names of local places. Truly, I owe it to the class and the learning experiences you organized for us to be able to hold such a special conversation, and I can only hope that you are able to continue doing this for other students.
This affirmation of the impact of experiential learning for our students is part of why we are sharing our story with you today. To do justice to the FPPL in a course required by all students for graduation has required a significant investment of people power and funding. We have exhausted other avenues of funding, such as PAC grants, which have been denied. It is our hope that you are able to continue your support for the authentic work towards truth and reconciliation that is happening at SLSS and other high schools around the district by considering a continual allocation of funds to support implementation of FPPL in Indigenous graduation credit courses. Thank you.
Another way we strive to make Stevenson London a more inclusive, accepting environment is through our Jedi mural. Through creating a mural at the front of our school, we help foster a more inclusive, community-connected environment within SLSS. We invited all students and staff to participate by painting wooden fish in a way that reflects their identities, further adding a part of themselves to the school. These wooden fish were laser cut in our woodworks department and were added to the mural for generations of sharks to see.
The mural promotes inclusivity as it allows students with different abilities to enjoy the mural. By having a QR code for audio, Braille for physical description, and a smaller version of the mural with different textures added to it, we develop a more inclusive interactions for all students no matter ability. It also incorporates historic aspects of our community as the fish were designed based on salmon that were fished and packaged in the Stevenson Cannery. To show our diverse school community, we held painting sessions for students and staff to express themselves onto the fish through words or illustrations that they represent with. On the next slide, you can see how all the fish are unique and different. This represents all of the students at SLSS.
Many traditional languages, practices, and values have been lost due to colonial powers diminishing, undermining, and displacing Indigenous people all throughout Canada. The final product of our mural is presented with intention to reconnect with Indigenous values of the land many of us call home. The central theme of this piece is rooted in the base of the tree, with thick roots and a sturdy trunk to represent the strong foundation of our school community that holds us together. The solid and connected base of the tree is surrounded by the leaves, which are salmon traveling from the bottom to the top. This upward motion is a showcase of Stevenson London's continuous climb towards inclusivity, accessibility, acknowledgement, and most importantly, the educational path to get there.
The choice of the fish species of salmon is another connecting piece with Indigenous communities. On the West Coast, salmon is an incredibly important aspect of Indigenous culture, including food, traditions, and symbolism, such as abundance, prosperity, fertility, and renewal. We wanted to incorporate the Indigenous-founded idea of two-eyed seeing, which involves both Indigenous and Western perspectives of education into our community. As Anushka mentioned before, this is done through incorporating different ways of interaction with the mural. Finally, this mural is located at the front of our school, displaying all the students' efforts in expressing their individual identities in an interactive and inclusive manner. Another aspect of promoting inclusivity at SLSS is our SELF program. SELF stands for Social Emotional Learning Focus, prioritizing the needs of all students to be successful in their academic life. Here are two teachers talking more about this program.
Hello everyone, my name is Brooke Sahota and this is Miles McEwen. Together in partnership with a couple of other of our colleagues, we've put together the SELF pathway at Stevenson London. More than anything, SELF is a pathway, a rest stop, an intersection, an on-ramp, and an off-ramp, and is an essential component to alternate education.
Yeah, we try to create a safe and low stakes lane for students to get their bearings, read their map, or maybe even add some adjustments to their own roadmap, using tools and strategies delivered with a primary focus on social emotional learning, self-regulation, self-efficacy, and of course, rapport. The end game is to really just help students find their stride in the school.
Our focus is to work with students in hopes of finding solutions that meet their needs within the four walls of our building, rather than outsourcing to alternate programs.
Yeah, and additionally, we like to try to look at the content that we work on and that I can liaise with classroom teachers through as a vehicle to kind of build some of these student goals, needs, objectives, all around reintegrating and rediscovering a student's place, both in their own education, but in the school and larger community overall.
Another way we promote inclusivity at SLSS is through our school foods program. Each day, through a student-led program, we provide balanced meals to ensure that financially challenged students retrieve nutritious lunches catered to dietary needs. This initiative is essential to fostering a supportive school environment where all students have access to healthy food options. We implemented a place where students can retrieve non-perishable items, transforming a storage room into a welcoming, discreet space. The objective was to develop an environment that fosters comfort and encourages students to take what they need without feeling exposed. This new space plays an important role in our mission. Overall, this program reinforces key concepts at SLSS, including but not limited to inclusivity and acceptance.
Now, moving on to another project that we have made in SLSS to make ourselves more inclusive and equitable is AEC, which stands for Acknowledge, Educate, Celebrate, or depending on the circumstances, commemorate. So what does this mean? Well, we want to acknowledge the diverse identities, cultures, and religions in our school community to promote unity and respect. Furthermore, we want to educate ourselves on everyone's different diverse identities to foster understanding, inclusivity, and belonging. Lastly, of course, depending on the circumstances, we want to celebrate or commemorate different historical, cultural, and religious events to give everyone a platform to express themselves. Now, following the acronyms of SLSS, we have made a timeline for AEC, with SLSS standing for Sketch, Launch, Sustain, and Strive. So what does this mean? Well, we first created a sketch of this project last year. And after the collaboration of many clubs, we created the words acknowledge, educate, celebrate, or commemorate. Now, why did we really have this discussion? Well, it's because we were discussing whether we should change the name Breakfast with Santa. And after this question evolved to how can we ensure we can give everyone an equal and equitable platform without, no matter their background. And then afterwards, we launched AEC this year. At the beginning, which we launched at the beginning of the 2024 to 2025 school year. Currently, we are focusing on two important components, the visual and educational part. We first want to acknowledge that these identities, backgrounds do exist, and then we hope to educate everyone on these backgrounds and their identities to make sure that everyone feels included. To sustain AEC, we believe it is essential for us to collaborate with different clubs because AEC as its core is not supposed to lead, it's not supposed to dictate everyone. Instead, it's supposed to provide the platform and the resources for everyone to make a difference at SLSS, no matter who they are. Now, in the future, we strive to make a community where every SLSS students feels like they're safe, recognized, and most importantly, included. Currently, we began AEC with educational social media posts and also multiple club collaborations. We've also made many displays. The Truth and Reconciliation one is a part of them. And then, although this project is new and it's relatively, fresh, we hope that AEC not only becomes a core part of SLSS, but we hope that AEC is the small step it takes to make SLSS a much more inclusive community. Now, thank you for listening to us. We really appreciate, you giving us your attention for this presentation. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please don't hesitate to ask us in the following Q&A section. Thank you.
Comments and questions? Please, Trustee Toblotny.
Yeah, wow, my head's spinning. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job of raising awareness and creating inclusive, welcoming environment for your fellow students. You showed that mural of the tree, which was absolutely amazing. It's so colorful. But I noticed there were bubbles all over. So are the bubbles significant of anything at all?
So initially, we decided to use bubbles as it fits our theme for school and to use as the painting section. But we thought that incorporating salmon to cover the indigenous aspect of our community was a better option. So we decided to just paint the bubbles on and use the salmon as the 3D effect of
Yeah, because the bubbles are amazing, and it was Spalaquex that talked about bubbles on their mural that's outside. And we found out that the bubbles represented where they lived on where there was a village on the Fraser near where Spalaquex was. And it's where the river, I think, reverses its current or something. And so the water bubbles. And so I wondered if that had any significance for you guys, but I imagine the salmon swim and create bubbles as they're swimming and breathing in the water. So, but it was lovely addition. Thanks.
Trustee Beliza.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for good presentation. As a trustee liaison of the school, I'm very proud of you demonstrating that student power and student voices in terms of your schools. How I wish that your student power could radiate to the whole of the district. And you mentioned the people's power. And I think I believe that the student is one of the important partners of the school district. And probably, perhaps, I just would like you to think, what do you think of student power in terms of the district? And I guess just think about it and let us know in the future, because I believe that the youth are the future of this country. And as future of this country, you have the opportunity to lead us in the future. And there's no future unless we do it at present. The importance of the present time should not be taken for granted. And I think more voices, more power is more good for the district. And I believe that. Thank you.
Do you want me to say comment anything on that? Well, we actually have been trying to really empower student voice, not only through SLSS, but also throughout the school district. So one example would be Table 38, where every student council, this year is not just student council, but also the club leaders of every school, they can come and gather together in one place known as Table 38. And then here we discuss about our ideas, our plans, especially on the topic of inclusivity. So for instance, Stevenson London has just hosted our Table 38 yesterday from 3:30 to 5, where we talked about not only the mural, not only AEC, but the importance of understanding how identity shapes our perspective. And with collaboration of RHS, we tried to really imbue that lesson into everyone in the school district. So I would, that is like one of the ways SLSS is really trying to empower every student voice throughout the district.
Thank you for that response. In Table 38, you're representing your school. But who represents the district in so far as student is concerned? There is no structure in terms of unity, in terms of implementations. You are representing your schools, but not exactly the district. That's what I'm trying to say, that more power with more structure, better representations for the district. Thank you.
Trustee Yang.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and yeah, thank you very much for that presentation, the 5 of you. You know, it takes, for some of you, it may be a bit intimidating to come to speak at a formal proceeding like this. So just wanted to commend you for doing that. And yeah, who knew that there'd be so much kindness and compassion coming out of the Shark Tank, right? So,
Yeah.
but in any case, I did wanted to thank you for the work that you're doing. You know, equity and inclusion is something we talk about here at this table at a very high level. You know, when we're talking about strategic plans and all of that. But all of you, the students, the staff, all of you are the ones that are actively playing out what that looks like in our environments, right? So such important work. You know, I think the empathy piece is very important. You know, we live in a world where a community where each of us have different identities. And, you know, the value of empathy is really not necessarily sharing the identity of others, but to be able to be in their to have your mindset in their shoes and see the world how they see it. And it's so powerful. And I think if you really speak to, you know, the fundamental solution to so many of our problems that we see in our society. So keep up the good work on that. You know, I would be remiss if I didn't highlight our statement on equity and inclusion last week we made collectively as a board to reaffirm that commitment to all of you and to staff in our community. So just wanted to highlight that as well. But a question to you, the five of you. And this is really open-ended, so feel free to jump in as you wish. But you know, when we talk about the work of equity and inclusion, what does that mean to you personally, and why does it matter to you that you're willing to come here on a weekday night to share the amazing work that you're doing?
Well, I think that equity and inclusion is a very important aspect of school, especially in the setting with so many different kids who are in all different grades with all different backgrounds, who all come from different families, that we need to find something that brings us together through our differences, including our differences. I think that because high school is such a peer pressure focused place, that having the classroom be somewhere where we can all be equal, that we can all share our opinions, that we can all be ourselves is incredibly important for the progression of students and for people to be able to be themselves.
Thank you very much again. Thank you.
Trustee Hamaguchi.
Great topic, great presentation. I guess, you know, within the schools, you guys are doing a wonderful job of promoting inclusion, diversity, and equity. Do you see your work within the schools transferring out into the community? Do you see signs of that? Because that it's great that, you know, in your own backyard that you guys are doing these great things and everything. But man, it would be so powerful if we knew that it's catchy and it's, you know, people outside Eastern London are grasping some of these ideas because of the things that you guys are doing. Do you find that at all, or is this just it's just happening within your schools?
Thank you for your question. So actually just yesterday at table 38, a student approached us from another school asking how they can start going upon beginning these projects and fostering inclusivity at their school. And this question was specifically about the Jedi mural that we had developed. And they wanted to use this concept and idea to initiate a project at their school that could make their school more inclusive and accepting environment.
Good. I mean, it's like I said, it's great the work you're doing, but man, if it can get catchy and everyone else starts doing it and someone else starts doing it, then we really have something. So good job, folks.
I would like to know what JEDI stands for.
So JEDI actually stands for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. So it hits like both the points that like the main topics that we came here to talk about. And it not only does like the mural, they also work on promoting inclusivity and diversity, like showing diversity through our school, through different projects. So an upcoming project that is going to happen is with the Student Council and also AEC. And it's basically showing celebrating Diwali, which is a festival of lights. And so I believe that they are doing a poster where they will show what it is, where the story about it, and they will also be holding painting sessions for painting candles. So making it very inclusive and allowing students to come in during their time, like PLT time, and allowing them to grow and learn new cultures and traditions.
Wow. I have to say, I love what you've done when you talked about your, I think it's your mural, where you've adapted it so that you had touch and so that, what were the other things? There was touch. There was a number of different, audio, yes, audio, touch, those things that like to do something like that so that other students can actually experience that same thing and it is pretty adult in my opinion, right? There's a lot of adults that don't even, might not be aware of that type of change, that little change that you can do that can make a difference in somebody's life, and you're doing it. So thank you. And the passion that you shared while you were, you could hear it in your voice, you could see it in your eyes. There's an obvious pride there. And I think there's an obvious, really positive sense that you have right in your gut and in your heart. And so thank you so much for presenting to us. As Trustee Yang mentioned, we talk about this on a higher level with our strategic plan, and to actually hear young people putting it together, you're teaching us at the same time. So thank you very, very much. It was wonderful. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
How do you follow that? So we're on to item 6, approval of minutes of the prior meetings. Record of an in-camera meeting of the board held Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. The regular meeting of the board held Wednesday, September 25th, 2024 for approval is attached. If there are no changes needed, I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Pardon me, moved by Trustee Wong and seconded by Trustee Tablotny. All those in favor? Thank you. Okay. Business arising from prior minutes. We have a fall 2024 enrollment update report from our Secretary Treasurer, which is attached. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. My report is on page 18 of the public board meeting package. This school year, Richmond School District continues to grow in student population. For September 30th, 2024, we have over 23,300 full-time equivalent students. And this includes over 22,500 domestic and over 800 international students. This represents an increase of 688 student enrollment growth, or 3% of the total student population compared to the previous school year. As a result, we anticipate to receive higher operating grants, and the increased revenue will be allocated to meet our student needs in the classrooms. And that includes the hiring of the additional teaching staff to meet the requirements of the collective agreement, and also to address the needs of students with disabilities and diverse abilities. So that is a quick report from me, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Trustee Sargent.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for the report, and seeing the ebb and flows over the years is incredible. You know, so many years of decline, and now we're just keep building and building. Is really a happy thing. It's really a great thing that students are moving here and taking part in public education. Should be celebrated. And on the advocacy note, we need to make sure those children have a good, safe, reasonable, awesome classroom building, and building to house staff and students so they can learn and grow. And so I know we're advocating really hard for those, especially in city center, but I couldn't, go without saying that we have to keep advocating for those students to have a really good place to be able to learn. And we'll continue that work, celebrate the enrollment rise, and let's just see what we can get done for those students, especially at City Center. Thank you.
Trustee DeBlotney, followed by trustee Beliza.
Yeah, thanks for the report. Very interesting. The alternate program, I see it dropped by 9. Was there any specific reasoning for that, or is it just?
There isn't specific reasons. Mainly it's because of students are moving out of the program, graduating from the
Okay.
specific program.
Yeah,
Yes.
'cause, yeah, okay. And then also, I was looking at adult education. So the projection was 15 and the actual is 47. That's growth of 32, but we only have 47 in adult education. What programs is that at the Adult Education Center at Mitchell?
Yeah, that's a really good question because the information or the numbers on this report is actually full-time equivalent student.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
So we actually have more students than just the 47.
Okay.
Yeah, this is high school completing courses and divided by the 7 blocks, and then we come up with the
Got it.
full-time number.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, trustee Beliza, followed by trustee Wong.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for this very good update. It's always nice to hear there is such increase in enrollment, and it means increase in our grant from the ministry. However, I'd like to know the process. We have budget approval sometime in June, and we have recalculations of, I guess, of the grant from the ministry. In the meantime, my question would be, where do we get the source of fund? Because there's an increase in enrollment, there will be more hiring, more staff needed for the increase. Now, in the meantime, we are waiting for the recalculation of the grant. What's the source of the funds that we are trying to use or apply for the increase in terms of the staffing?
Yeah, thank you, trustee Beliza. That's a really good question. That delves into the nitty-gritty of the financial world. We're looking really, your question is really about the cash flow, right? When you look at the 3%, when we look at our daily cash flow in and out, we receive the grants from our Ministry of Education, and then we expense our cash for staff salaries and the supplies and services that's happening in our school. In our classrooms. So really that 3% is a small difference. In the meantime, we're waiting. This is a different time period between now and December. So by December, we would have the new funding being calculated and announced by the Ministry of Education. So over this 3-month period, we do have sufficient resources to deal with all the expenditures that are happening in our school district.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Wong.
I just find out one is page 18. So I see the number of the total unique student list is at 237. Page 18. So and then I just see the paragraph above the table is 240. Which one is the correct one?
Yes. Thank you, trustee Wang. That's a really good question. So the 240 is a round up number. 237 is the accurate number. 240 is just rounded up.
That's not impact just like the project actual funding, right?
It doesn't, yeah, no. The funding will follow the 237 actual number.
And one thing is the question for international education. So the projection of the 24-25 have a 71 decrease the number. So is that this numbers any impact for our budget?
I would say the net income estimated is going to be $330,000 less compared to our budget, which will have minimal impact on our district's ability to provide the services we need to our students.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to item B, which is the Richmond International Education Annual Update. And we have a report from the director.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here again. Thank you for including our report in your agenda today. As always, it's my pleasure to deliver the report to you on behalf of my colleagues in the International Office. As you can see today, I have two co-presenters. They will definitely be the star of our presentation. I will go through our report and of course, happy as always to take questions. And then I will gladly pass the report to our the actual, my presentation will just be broken down into our annual report, will be broken down into just a recap of our programs that we have as options, breakdown of our enrollment data, some of which has been discussed already. Talk a little bit about our profile, our international student profile. We have an interculturalism fund bursary that we had launched, perfect timing, right before the pandemic started, and now has been able to help support a lot of our schools with intercultural activities, whether it's in the schools or field trips and whatnot abroad. Talking a little bit about what's new in our program, things that we've done to continue to improve upon our program and supports and communication. And a little snapshot of the year that was, a little talk about where we are right now and what we think will happen moving forward, and of course, student voice. Just as a reminder, so we do have long-term programs, study programs for international students. That means they come for at least 1 year or at least one semester or a year, and some stay longer, as some examples of students today. We also have short-term programs. We're one of the few districts that still has short-term programs, and these are for students that come as individuals for 1 year or 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months throughout the school year. But we continue to see a growth in that program, but also in groups, and particularly school groups that come regularly each year for extended periods of time. That might be six weeks, 2 months, and whatnot. Our summer camp continues. We did continue to have a summer camp in a few weeks, 6 weeks. We'll talk a little bit about the numbers there and some of the challenges that we face there. But it is continuing to grow and try to get back to where we were the pre-pandemic level. We have still run our Connections program, which is wonderful, great feedback consistently from our students that choose to join that program. This used to be, we were able to use the space at Palmer. Now we're at Canby, thankfully. We have the space there, and the students, grade 8 to grade 11 students, after school, but also weekend, Saturday field trips, and sometimes it's on site, other times it's field trips, and it's a great way for our students that choose to join to a little bit of a tutoring and homework club, but also language development. Really, it's a focus on social connections, building connectedness with our students, make friends across the district, and help enhance their experience here. We also been able to continue to offer our Let's Learn English program to parents of international students in our program. And all the pictures that you'll see, I should have mentioned at the beginning, our students, except for one, are our international students, and one picture of our parent group, our last parent group. And that's always a lot of fun and enjoyable, great feedback. And as I mentioned, I think every year the potluck at the end of the program is one of the favorite days of the program, for sure. This is a snapshot. Sorry about that. Not seeing the panels, I guess, eh? Seeing this, sorry about that. apologize. Our enrollment data. So the numbers continue to exceed our from last year. Continue to exceed our pre-pandemic number. While this year, starting in September, they're a little bit lower than they were at this time last year, but that's not unexpected. We continue to welcome students from various parts of the world, usually about 25 to 30 different countries represented. Our number of students, number one countries from which our students come in Northeast Asia is China and Japan. South America, it's Brazil. In Europe, it's Italy and Germany. And in Southeast Asia, it's Thailand and Vietnam. The two places where the students that were at a pre-pandemic level haven't quite reached that yet, or they're growing, is still Vietnam and South Korea. And we do have students from other destinations as well, France, Belgium, Spain, and also at the end of last year and this year from New Zealand. We have individual students coming and also groups of students from New Zealand. At the elementary level, again, our numbers remain higher than they were at our high water mark pre-pandemic, but a little bit lower from last year. Again, this is our September number. We still have a second semester and the full year to get through. Also, our numbers overall, whether at elementary and secondary, do not reflect the students that transition from fee-paying international students to non-fee-paying international students. Those students do remain in our district and at our schools. Second semester right now, it is the peak time for new applications into about the middle of November. They are not as strong as they were at this time last year, but we're confident that we'll still have a vibrant, obviously, program in second semester as well. The Ministry of Education and Child Care at the end of last year presented some of their data on international education as part of our IPSE AGM. That's an organization we belong to, you might recall. It's a volunteer organization. It's other public school districts that have international programs join. And they talked about overall big snapshot about international education. As of last year, about 80% of the K-12 international students at public and private schools combined are about 80% of what they were in 2019, 2020, so pre-pandemic year. As far as us, we are about fourth as far as the number of enrollment data in again, public and private in the province, we are about fourth. And as far as tuition revenue, so that represents about 5.5% of the international students in BC. K-12. On the revenue side, the tuition revenue, we are fourth as well, and that represents about 7% of the provincial revenue from tuition. Our short-term program enrollment, that's where we've seen a lot of growth. As I've talked about the individual short-term students, but also our groups that come. And that continues to grow. It allows us to welcome students from generally a broader range of countries, and they come sometimes just for the experience. That's all they want. Other times it's, as I mentioned, sort of the kick the tires, so to speak, a little bit to see this is their first time abroad and see how they like it. And then that they can do it and they feel good about themselves. Sometimes they come back into our other programs, might be a summer camp or long-term study, or their brother or sister or classmates join us. So that has continued to grow, and we see growth. And as I say, we're one of the programs that still is able to offer, programs that are still able to offer that type of programming for students. Our summer camp continues to grow, but it's still around 35 to 40% of our pre-pandemic average. And this sort of speaks to largely to the challenges we have overall. As I mentioned, there's always external and some internal challenges. Internal, it's always about where the seats are and how many seats we have and where they are. The external are the federal government policies and initiatives on who can enter Canada and on statuses and how to apply for status and change status. Processing times and the process has changed, as you know, and the timing has changed, but also things like airfare. It has really continues to be high, exceeding the pre-pandemic level. So the cost of airfare, the number of flights that are available for people to come from their home country to here, and sometimes also to do with the currency exchange. Just an example, for the last 2 years, the Canadian dollar is very strong, for example, to the Japanese yen. So when you add the currency exchange in addition to the airfare costs, some of our usual groups who will come to summer camp from Japan, as an example, had to postpone for those costs. So that is an ongoing challenge. Field trips, we continue to offer, sorry about this, apologize. There you go. Field trips, we continue to offer field trips to our students. This is in addition to what our schools do and whatnot. They're a lot of fun. It allows us to, the students come, obviously, as part of the immersive experience. They have a cultural experience, and many perhaps will mention this, that think of Canada as a big, broad country, lots of nature, mountains, at least here in BC, mountains and green space and ocean. So we try to offer those opportunities for students. And it's a lot of fun for us as well. It gives us a chance to reconnect with our students and bond with them, bring them together from other international students from other schools in our district. I was able to go on the kayaking trip to, field trip to Deep Cove, and it was fabulous. And if you are interested, you'll see on one of our slides, if I remember to fast forward. And if I don't, please go onto our Instagram page and you'll see pictures of our field trips, including that wonderful kayak trip. Beautiful day, fabulous, lots of smiling faces. A lot of people got wet, but no one complained. It was a great day. Our interculturalism fund that we put together, again, pre-pandemic. These are just some of the countries and some of the schools that we were able to help sponsor support with that, with the different field trips or in-school events related to Lunar New Year, for example, and things like that. We're continuing to be able to offer that to schools and students as well. Again, you'll see some pictures on our social media, but also often schools with us pictures. I have some in my office. I'm happy to show them. Please come to visit and look at those pictures as well. What's new and what's continuing? Obviously, we continue to work on our process size, on efficiencies. How can we improve our communication, simplify our communication with students, parents, schools, everyone that needs information from us? How do we receive information, store it, and pass it on to the end users so it's accurate and simple and usable as quickly as we can? We continue to do that, try to minimize our environmental footprint by doing more and more improvements on our ELL database, our student database, our payment platform, Flywire, for example. We have scholarships that we continue to offer our students. Some of them want to continue on to post-secondary school, really in BC and in Metro Vancouver, but Canada as well. But we also know that a lot of our students get scholarships and awards and whatnot, certainly awards at our schools, but also at other institutions. I was invited just before beginning of this month from Langara. They had a President's International Entrance Scholarships that recognize international students at BC high schools for exceptional academic performance. And we had two students, one from Palmer, one from Cambie, that were recipients of those awards. And so they invited us to celebrate at that reception. So we have lots of students that continue on and graduate with us and continue on into schools here in our city and in our province, in our country, and do wonderful things. Also, our Connections program, as I mentioned, continues to be vibrant. Let's Learn English with the Parents program continues to be vibrant and dynamic, and a lot of fun. We continue, as I say, we continue to use our virtual platforms to enhance our communications. We do a lot of parent sessions that are in person, often here throughout the year, to talk to parents about certain aspects of the nitty-gritty of the school year, report cards, and study permits and medical insurance, but also to engage with them and make sure that we're in front of them as often as we can, and they know who we are and where they can access support and conversations when needed. We have a number of newsletters to students and our study abroad organizations and homestays as well. Continue with the communication in that platform as well. We've also done surveys of our different students, our staff and our schools, as well as homestays and various things. We do focus groups as well. Again, to try to encourage and solicit feedback on people's experiences in our program and in our school district. Things that we, not just receiving A's, but also beefs and how we can do things better and what we need to look at and how we could do that. We are also remain active as a district to be active in our provincial and national organizations. We have one of my colleagues is now on the board of our provincial organization. We are also here ourselves sponsoring, trying to organize and host a conference on homestay in our community and bring people in for that. That will be supported by our provincial organization as well. So we're trying to be, good peers as well and share best practices and share ideas with each other. This is our Instagram page. The kayaking pictures up there, but there's a lot more. We have, I think, say over 1,000 subscribers. If you're not one yet, please do. We welcome everyone. Shameless plug, I know. We also have, as you know, a verified WeChat account. I believe there's more than 4,000 subscribers to our WeChat account as well. We do posts, as you can see, regular posts. We sometimes do information sessions, Q&A sessions through our WeChat account as well, and different things. We do have a Facebook page as well. It's not quite as dynamic, but it's there. Please, again, feel free. And so that actually is us. Those of you that know everyone there, we have a couple of members. One is on a maternity leave right now. Another one will retire at the end of January. So there'll be a few changes as we move through the year. As always, so this brings the end of my report. And as always, I just wanted to acknowledge the guidance, the support and encouragement that we receive as a program from the board, from our senior team, all of our colleagues in all of our departments, HR and tech services and finance and central registration, continuing education, workshop, all of our colleagues at the schools, our educators, our teachers, our support staff all across the district. And of course, I always want to acknowledge my predecessors as well in our international office, and whatever we're able to accomplish as a program is a reflection of that support, guidance, and encouragement. So thank you all very much. If I'm happy to take questions now, but I'm equally happy to pass the table to my co-presenters if you wish.
By all means, whatever's most comfortable for you to continue with your presentation. We can ask now, or we can, whatever you think. What would you like?
Okay, I'll
Perfect.
pass it on to our co-presenters.
Just
I'm gonna
fine.
Start with Saki.
Okay. Hello, I'm Saki Himono, and I'm from Japan and Tokyo, Japan, and I'm currently in grade 12 in McNair. I really enjoy the programs in McNair too, and involved in the school community, such as theater productions and running clubs. It's really diverse school, and it's interesting to see the diverse and different culture in school.
Saki comes from, she mentioned Tokyo, large city. So we were talking a little bit today about the difference of city like Tokyo. Vancouver itself is smaller. And we were talking about some of the differences. Forms, not forms. In Japan, right? Taking a class and moving around.
Yeah. So is it really interesting that the distance with the teacher in Japan is really, it's a good thing that it's formal, but in a way it has like some kind of distance. But in here, like they're really friendly, and I believe that I have a really good relationship with teachers, and I'm really enjoying learning from them.
Stays
Mhm.
And how about we talked a little bit about the food too.
For the food. For the food, yes, I really miss Japanese food. But like I really like to trying new things, not only food, but like other things. So it's good to have um other restaurants in Richmond. Like it's fun to try out the new cultures. Like actually like trying the new cultures. Mhm. Yep.
So, and then, and also.
Hi, my name is Joanna. I'm from Brazil. I'm from the north, a city called Boa Vista. It's the state of Roraima. And I'm here in Richmond. It's going to be a year now. Um, I decided to do this exchange program since I was 6 years old, actually, when I started to learn English because I had a dream to come to Canada and see snow when I was little. So that was always my dream, my goal of life, do an exchange program, and thank God my parents could afford it last year, and was the best experience that I have ever had in my whole life. That it's indescribable. I can't like. And when I came here, I had a lot of. I was really concerned about a lot of things. I was scared. They were scared. Not just about my school, but also my host family. Because when my parents they did to an exchange program, but not here in Canada, in another place, and they had not a good experience with their host families. But I was really lucky to be honest because my host family is incredible. I don't have anything to say about them. They always help me when I need. And also my school, they are really supportive. And whenever I need something, whenever like I'm struggling with the meaning of some words, especially like tests, exams, the professors, the teachers, the also the students, my colleagues, they always help me when I need. So I felt really supported when I came because I felt really scared about my English too. I felt like no one, I would be alone, no one would talk to me because I didn't know English very well. But yeah, it was an incredible experience.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, I was scared about the food too when I came here because I I I don't have like a kid taste, like I like to try a lot of new foods, but as it's a different country, I actually found some restaurants that are Brazilian food and they are so good. They taste like home, and I felt really comfortable when I ate them. It was an experience too. But I didn't have much trouble because the food here is actually good. And my mom, my host mom, she cooks so well. So
I saw Rod Beliza, or pardon me, trustee Beliza, and followed by trustee Sergeant.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for this very good update. And I'd like to thank your department in terms of the fostering and promoting international relation, especially international understanding and connection and goodwill to the world, as well as also your sound financial management. The district, receive some kind of financial benefit that would help and return some more programs in our district. However, there is always the risk running certain programs in our schools. I think you've heard about the stoppage of the post-secondary international program. And I hope it will not happen, but if it happens, of course, there's a risk that the district may take. And aside from that, there's always such thing as liability coming from either from our staff or from the students or from the host. So in terms of enterprise risk management that we are advised by the ministry to deal with in every program that we have. So I'd like to listen what kind of risk and mitigations, or if there is none, so much the better. Thank you.
Yes, everything that we do is welcoming students, also trying to manage the responsibility for the student, and that includes let's have it certainly initially. Our policy or initiative or and special information is filtered through social media sites or sanity. Okay, what does that mean? So we certainly experienced that. So we're looking at what our program can be, where students can come from, students where the seats are, and we offer this support if needed. We can take that into consideration when we're working with our partners and different parts of the school about that. But what is realistic? What system and policies? So we're first, I guess there is two sides of this side of it, on that side of it, specific expectations, policies, whatnot. That type of information, of course, is there. So again, part of our being part of other organizations and active members, practices, so how we deal as well. We're putting people together to share these ideas and whatnot, and we put it in that we want. And there's part of our presentation to our students and parents is we have these student bubbles, all these different people and adults, responsible adults that are participating in some way, shape, or form to create an opportunity for us to come and to create a safe as possible, we can safe and predictable and supportive environment where they can come and just fit in, enjoy themselves, have their ups and downs as far as missing mom and dad and culture shock or whatnot, but to engage in their learning at school, friends, learn something about the community and culture as well. And so we just constantly are looking at always mindful of the risk of the district. As far as the student numbers go, we talk about again, the marathon seats are available within the district, market immediately a year ahead of time, and looking at those numbers and where the students come from and grade levels and what support needs.
That's my follow-up question. It's always nice to hear increase in enrollment. But if there's such a decrease or stoppage, what would be the impact to our staff or to teachers especially involved in this program?
Right. So we are a program of choice, and obviously the national program just but obviously I don't know where there are seats in our or if there's fewer seats, then there's fewer seats for our partnership. In those schools, it might be a certain school more seats or something less. So obviously, we're mindful of that, and we also make sure our community, finance, HR, with everyone, central institution is ongoing, regular communication to make sure that we know we can give the district, its schools, and ability on what to expect as far as student numbers, which then has a direct impact on staff. And also the course options, certain number of international students, and the school allows official walk to have more for all students. And so we're mindful of the importance of that. So that we are active. One hang on, but that we can offer that flexibility to people, staff.
Thanks very much.
And with the bench, yes, it's not always that straight up line of sound. There's other usually external factors that impact. I mentioned.
Thank you.
Trustee Sargent.
Thank you. Well, I always like to highlight this when you come with your report, and it's all about student focus. And it's all about why we do this. And I remember many, many years ago discussing, should we embark in this? How much should we embark on this? And what was the real reason? And the real reason is to make the world a smaller place so that we can not only, you can come and learn about Canada, but we can also learn from you and to share your experiences of Japan and Brazil, and so that your colleagues, other students can learn from you and you can learn from them. And that was the reason why we had and we have an international program. And so I think over the years, it's got muddled with, the amount of money that we receive and what that money supports. And I think it's always good to remember and not be reliant on that money. And I just want to thank you, you and your staff, because you've had to be extremely resilient through a pandemic that brought so many challenges, none that we've never seen before. And I think your department probably got hit the worst. But I think what you've done too is you really focus in on your presentation tonight is about student support, student comfort, student care. And when I'm listening to both of you, it sounds like that's what you're getting and that's what we want you to get. And so I really think your department just keeps getting better and better, more student focused. And I'm sorry that you do contribute a lot to the budget, but that's not ever the important thing. And I know you know that, but as a board member, I want to keep this program going because of that, each of us learning. You have great hills to climb, and some of them are around federal, provincial. And so as advocates, I'd really like to know from you, we have done some advocacy with our MP and with our provincial association, BCSDA, but and also our MLAs could help once they get settled up. But I'm wondering and you don't have to answer tonight, but I'd be really interested in knowing where can we have some real strength in advocating for those changes because of the importance of the reasons that I stated in the beginning, that we want to be a Canada that invites people into. So, what are those couple of things that are holding you back that we as advocates, as politicians could really work on? And again, if you don't have them right now, it would be great if you sent it to our chair or to our superintendent. Thank you.
In fact, when I go to one of our embassy colleagues and try to mention what the summer camp focus would be the same as it was before, slow. That some of the students have visited money did you keep it money? And support.
Trustee Hamaguchi, followed by trustee Yang, followed by trustee Wong and trustee DeBonny.
In the news, they talk about the government quotas on. Now, has that kicked in yet, or is that something down the road? And if it, so it has kicked in, and has it impacted our program?
Yes, it has kicked in. So there are additional. I think it doesn't impact. Actually, we're still exempt. In fact, we just got a confirmation that K-12 is still exempt from those policies. However, it does impact us. Certainly, of what it means overall. During the pandemic, Canada led the world, and BC led the world in the response to the pandemic. Through the borders, rigorous. Again, people can come to school and study and be safe and healthy. We're like the world. And so the image generally and welcoming was obvious. So initially, that sort of changed. People understand started the application. Are they a student applies to follow? So yes, we've seen, I think part of that is what we see where our new applications for second semester are a little bit softer than they were at this time last year. Part of that to do with that. But it also is incumbent on us to continue with communication and to help people explain what that actually means and doesn't mean. So some of them will have the students that switch the status of parents from within Canada, from UK to not UK. That will probably have an impact down the road, not necessarily immediately, but probably a year or so down the road, we might see it.
Will it be a big impact, or?
It's about 70 or so students, roughly that do that change status every year. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's not insignificant, but other districts are certainly experiencing a bigger impact.
Question for you folks. So you've been here for a year, 2-3 years.
30 years. Yeah.
So I'm sure at home you had a lot of friends and a lot of fun things to do. Since you moved out here, have you been able to make a lot of friends and do fun things and have a good social life as well? Because school's important, but you got to enjoy the other part of life too. So are you guys, are you finding that your social life out here has been pretty good in terms of friends and doing, community activities?
For the first year, I really struggled to make a friends because I'm a shy person, but by involving the clubs and the community, I get to have a lot of friends, and they're really supportive. And even I'm not international, even I'm not a native speaker, they really supportive and in a class and in the clubs. Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's been okay. You made some friends and you're doing some fun things yourself?
Me, I had some troubles too. As she said, January when I get here, the first month was really hard for me to get to know people because I'm really shy. I'm not this type of person, but I feel like this experience made me another person because I felt more confident to talk to others, to get to know more people, and this was perfect because I made such good friends that I want to carry for my whole life. And when they had to leave, because most of them were international kids too, and when the semester finished on September, when we all had to get home to go back, June, July, probably at the summer break, when we all had to go home, saying goodbye to them was such a hard thing. Was like I was saying goodbye to my mom and dad back home. It's really, I made such good friends.
And probably friends for life. You
Yeah,
never know when you get older. When you
Yes.
finish school, you might run into them again, so.
Trustee Yang.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and I want to thank Mr. Sefton for being here tonight and to the students. Wow, that's like being a newcomer myself many years ago, like something like this would have absolutely freaked me out. So you did a great job. Thank you. And yeah, and I can't help with the Instagram follow thing, so sorry about that, Sean. Um, Wow, like I just wanted to like every year when you bring this annual update, it's such a reminder for me as a student of international relations how necessary and how powerful it is to bring the world together. I mean, Japan, a 10, 11-hour flight, Brazil probably around the same. The fact that we can bring such distance and shorten and condense it into our little corner we call Richmond and to be able to showcase this amount of diversity and the strength in that, I think that is so powerful and something that deserves reminding for us as decision makers at this table. So full kudos to the program for doing just that. Now, a couple questions. You mentioned the intercultural bursary that's available. Now, that's for if I understand correctly, domestic students that are going outbound. Is that correct? Okay. And I guess, what are we working with in terms of the resources for that kind of bursary? And scholarships that we can before the pandemic through and after most of the recognize some level of cost. It's wonderful, but we also like to encourage our students to also go and meet other students and educators in their countries as well. So it's a give and take. So that fund is been real Yeah, and I think you got it exactly right on the nose that it's a two-way engagement, right, with all things. So certainly an area that could use a little more help for sure. And then I think you spoke to some of the challenges with IRCC processing times, but outside of that, just hesitancy with people who are looking for that clarity in terms of our domestic policy. Was there anything else in the realm of IRCC policies that have hindered or impacted the program? But also initiatives. Sometimes also most of the applicants are now done online. That's good in a lot of ways. Sometimes there's a shift depending on workflow. Sometimes the stagnant. So last year there was the DAPL not with us, but a whole group of our students were denied which normally wouldn't be. So there's situations like that. And again, the real geopolitical aspect, which I mentioned, also leads to times related to positivity, not negativity. Both of these as well. And there's cases, again, this happens with a lot of parents, but also this year was that sometimes the application for one way or the other. So this so internally, as I mentioned, it was but also a combination of the Perfect. And I guess my final question just on Obviously we've been working very hard to promote our program to your counterparts abroad and folks abroad. And so just keeping in mind of our sister cities, have you been able to have those opportunities to engage with folks at Wakayama or Xiamen or any of our cities? Yes. So we are the pandemic, obviously, but maybe much of that change with Wakayama and the other challenge. So initially, my understanding, my wise, yeah,
Good.
First time I believe. Has been a while, and yeah, you're doing great work to make sure that that happens. So thank you very much for everything.
Trustee Wong?
Thank you, Chair Madam. So my question is that for the group program, is the group program accept any school day they can come?
It's a big 12 year sometimes. Sometimes or during the school year, sometimes group where they have specific teacher English, and they'll have a chance to interact with the school. Obviously, at the end of the school year, they'll have a buddy that they'll shadow. And other times they come as a group, and then we're able to put them in different schools. They can be part of the group, and teacher with them as well, with here to support them, but they'll be different. So they'll have their kind of own experience. And then go to schools where procedure and
Did the group program is the request that the group, the whole group bring in, is it in one school?
It depends. Sometimes
Yes.
it will be, if it's a close, yes, one school. It's not. If it's, I mean, like we have a, for example, I'll give you an example. Every year, about 30 or so students from Kyoto, and they come from 6 to 7 weeks, and they're from the students, classmates from the same school that they come, but as they come, they're put into 5 different schools for that experience. So yes, sometimes they come and stay one school, one class, sometimes they come in a group, but they get placed in different groups.
I know they really hope that wish to get the Canada experience learning. Yeah, thank you.
Trustee DeBotny?
Yes, well, I've experienced the food just recently in Tokyo in Japan, and I loved it. And also was earlier this year, I was in Brazil and I did experience the barbecue and it was fantastic. So I wanted to ask about the trips, like the Yukon, those trips, and some of them shorter. Is that, do the students have to pay extra fees or is that all included in?
Yeah, the trips are.
Okay. All right.
Is this the
Okay. Hmm. Okay. Okay, because they look like amazing experiences. And for the students, I wanted to ask you, so what have you learned from our education system? And what would you take home and change? What would you take home and change, in your education system? And then what about your home would you change in our education system? And maybe that's a difficult question. You can answer it or not, but maybe you even want to think about it. But, we're always looking for new ideas and I'm sure your countries are as well. So just curious.
As I mentioned before, I really enjoy the interaction with my teachers. Um, in Japanese school, we we stay in our home class, and teachers are moving between the classes. That the one thing that is the good thing about the system is we get to have like a really strong bond with another student in class. So I would like I think it's a good system to have. However, to having like moving to different classes is really good opportunities to um, meet new people and in a expand the community.
Okay, good. Thank you.
In Brazil, it's the same as in Japan, I think, because we have just one class for the whole year, and we stayed there. We did church moves and stuff. I when I came here, I was really confused about it because it's my school. At least it's huge. Back home, it was really small. So for me, and we have 5 minutes to change the classes, and this is really good because sometimes one it's downstairs and the other is. Yeah. But also another thing that I found really different here is because back home I'm used to have six subjects per day, and it changes every day. So total I have like 13 subjects per year, and here I just have four. So this is really different for me. Uh, back that's what I say because back home we struggle a lot at school, and here I like going to school. It's a good thing. But something that I miss it's actually having more um subjects. And also another thing that I found really nice here that I would love to have this in Brazil is if we could choose the subjects that we want to do. Because back home I need to do all the subjects. So sometimes like I'm not a sport person, so I wouldn't choose PE for back home and to study more like science stuff because of my career.
Thanks for the great answers.
I would just like to say thank you. And Mike, I have a comment, and that is when I think back to working with the international program and how much it's grown, and not just in size or the number of countries, that's huge, but all the different things that you're doing it's incredible, and it's successful. And I think the reason it's successful is right from the beginning, when it was a smaller idea and how are we going to do this, it was always based on care, always. Care of the families, care of the children, care of the homestay. It was always, that was the most important piece. And of course, the education piece and things like that. But that, and I think that as the program has grown, so has the care. And it's evident in when you described the circles of people that are around everyone. It's amazing. And as Trustee Hamaguchi said to you, you may have made friends for life. I can tell you that I still have homestay parents from 10 years ago that always let me know that so-and-so is coming back to visit with their family, and vice versa. Families have gone back to visit the families of the students where they lived. So that you are changing the world, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. And you do an amazing work. Now, one question I have for both of you. Have you taught your homestay family how to cook your favorite meal?
So this is a challenge topic about me. So yeah, this is a challenge. I hesitate a lot to talk about my like favorite and stuff. So I haven't talked to them, but I would like to try to make my Japanese food and
Yep. How about you?
Never never because I don't know how to cook nothing.
Oh, well.
I don't can eat hers
Uh-huh.
and her food's good, so I don't.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. This has been really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mhm. Hey, we're going on to item 7. I think that's where I am. Approval minutes of prior meetings, we did that. No, not 7. What am I talking about? New business. We don't have any new business this evening, which takes us to the opportunity for members of the public to come forward with questions regarding agenda items.
Good evening, Liz Baverstock, President, Richmond Teachers Association, and thank you. And it's been a great series of presentations and always wonderful to hear from students and all the great things that are happening in the district, and many of them led by students, and the experiences that students get to have when they, come to Richmond, whether that is they live here or they're coming here from other countries, and enjoying what is here, but also bringing with them their experiences. So very motivating. I'm looking at the enrollment update, and as it's positive news, because each year we seem to see that we are exceeding expectations in terms of growth, and this year is no different. My question, as we think about the last couple of years, and the struggles that we've had, space being one of those struggles, and staffing being the other struggle, and thinking about all the advocacy that we have done for trustees, what else can we do? What changes would you consider in terms of approach? We've had an election. We'll have new opportunities at some point with government to continue that advocacy. I do sincerely ask the question because, I know and appreciate the letter that we put out together to all the MLA candidates and the 4 key priority areas. I think of the space, but I also think about the challenge that we continue to have with recruitment and retention. And really, there does need to be dedicated work. There may be some temporary solutions for the space issues, but there's nothing temporary about the fact that if you don't have enough staff, you can't support all the students that are coming to our district in the way that we would like to. And especially when a special challenge for across this province is, we do have growth in unique student needs, and that requires specialist teachers. And if we can't actually get ahead of that, it leaves us more challenged each year as we go into September. So I don't know. I'm happy to work with the board in future advocacy, but what else can we do? How do we draw attention to this? Because staffing continues to be and really grows in a lot of way each year to be a challenge. So I'll leave you with that. You may not be able to answer that tonight. It might be for another night, but that really is a sincere question. The other thing, I would just appreciate your statement on inclusion and diversity, and always welcome the opportunity to partner with you in those types of statements as one of the partner groups. So appreciate your work, and we continue to be here to work together as best we can to solve the problems that we continue to struggle through. But at the same time, great opportunities, and we hear great things tonight.
Go ahead, Trustee Hemmick.
Go ahead.
And then
Liz, the challenge of enough teachers and all that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously it's right across Canada and I'm sure someone in the States. Actually, though, does RTA or BCTF have discussions with people, in faraway places, kind of comparing notes?
Well,
Because it's so diverse there.
Yeah.
Education is all over the place.
I would say that the BCTF absolutely takes advantages of all the opportunities they have to connect across the world. We don't have those same types of opportunities as the Richmond Teachers Association. Really, our work stays local, and we don't actually get the opportunity to go to other places. But definitely, that is something that the BCTF is able to do and reach out in bigger ways than we can and find out what's going across the world. It is a challenge worldwide for sure.
Thanks.
Trustee Sargent.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the board should discuss
Yeah, my tinfoil hat. And Tim.
Remember?
Yeah, a coat hanger, get me a coat hanger.
Actually, you remember last year? we said-
Oh, it's ridiculous. Hey, better.
Yeah, but it's- There's
Yep. Yeah.
I think it's just private.
Probably.
I think that's all it is. I don't think you have it.
No, no insulation. Pretty much.
So in Alberta or in Ontario, you don't have to customize, you don't do stuff. America just tells your installation.
Give it a try. Try.
Well, you can tell, I think, you just look at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Back on.
Oh my God. Oh, wow, that was fast.
It never back up.
Okay,
So
cool.
whatever reason, the whole thing shut down. but
Okay.
We're happy to reconnect.
Actually, you know what? Well,
I think so.
I don't know about others, but I didn't.
Yeah. Still goes.
You saw it.
No. Chit chat.
And then we'll start up again.
I would have gone to the bathroom.
Recording in progress. We're just waiting for,
Oh, Debbie. No one else. No.
just want to offer an explanation to anyone who's online that we lost our network, unfortunately. Back up again. So let's keep our fingers crossed that we can just continue as we are. Okay, we're on to our standing committee reports. Audit Committee, Trustee Yang.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 7th, 2025.
Thank you. Education Committee, we had a very informative presentation with Soji, graced with 2 students, and an enlightening presentation on continuing education on Wednesday, on October 16th, Wednesday. And our next meeting will be held Wednesday, November 13th at 6 o'clock. Trustee Hamaguchi, Facilities and Building.
Thank you. Minutes of the meeting held September 4th are attached for information. Meeting was held on Wednesday, October 2nd. The next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, November the 6th at 4:30 p.m. Thank you.
Finance and Legal, Trustee Sargent.
Thank you very much. The minutes are here from our September 18th meeting. And then we also have a recommendation, which I'll read. Whereas the Board of Education of School District 38 Richmond is paying for expenses incurred by the trustees in the discharge of their duties, Be it resolved that in accordance with the School Act, the Board of Education School District 38 Richmond approves trustees' expenses paid during the 3-month period ending September 30th, 2024 in the amount of $1,263.60. So moved.
Okay, do I have a second? Trustee Beliza, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. So we have Policy Committee, Trustee Tabotny.
Yes, I have. There are two recommendations here. Notice a motion was brought to the last meeting. So 204R or 203R and 203G, the trustee stipend and expenses. This policy is being revised and has in June, it was taken to our in-camera policy committee, it was revised and shared for feedback from trustees. And because it is our policy, it is not going out for feedback to our partner groups. September, the draft revised policy reflecting the trustee feedback was shared with the committee, and September there was given a notice of motion. So the final approval motion here is recommendation is that the Board of Education approve policy 203R and 203G, which is guidelines, trustee stipend and expenses in accordance with Board Policy 204, creation and revision of policy regulations. So what was actually changed was a change that pertains to trustees' expenses with regard to community relations and fundraising activities. It was agreed that the trustees should be provided with the discretion to select events that they wish to attend. We had an approval process before, and it was a bit cumbersome. And so what we've come up with and the change is that there's an annual allotment per trustee. It's $500 per trustee. Because we do end up going to quite a few community events, and they're good events, and it helps us to touch base with members of the public. So that's really the change at this point. So I've moved the recommendation and
Seconded by Trustee Yang.
Okay.
All those in favor? Opposed? No. Carried.
okay. And there's another one, policy 400R5. That's smoking and alcohol consumption, and policy 804.1R, community use of district facilities. And I'll read the recommendation first, that the Board of Education approve revised policy 400R5, smoking, alcohol and consumption, and policy 804.1R, community use of district facilities in accordance with Board Policy 204, creation and revision of policy and regulations. And I guess the history was there was an initial discussion in February. There was a request to serve alcohol at an event, and the superintendent, in looking over the policy, felt that there should be revisions in place to align ourselves with actually policies across the province, board policies, and also the board did make a motion to suspend the current language in the policy 804.1 and 400R5 with respect to the superintendent's ability to approve requests for consumption of alcoholic beverage on district property. And this is for, special events where there would be permission to do so. And really, the province has said that, we don't consume alcohol on board properties. And so to bring that policy in line, it was revised. It went out for stakeholder feedback. And I think it was out from May 23rd to July 23rd, and feedback was received. And so final revisions were made based on the results from a partner group review process, and a notice of motion was made at the September 25th meeting. And now the recommendation, which I have moved, is in front of you.
Okay, seconded by trustee Wong. All those in, pardon me? Oh, sorry. Are there any comments? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just very quickly, I know Trustee Tablotny has given the gist notes on this piece of policy, but I just wanted to share that, in drafting this policy, there was, we didn't initially include vaping as a piece to this policy, and I had recommended that at policy committee to add that, because knowing that vaping use and it's just out there has increased, and so it was an important matter to address as part of our policy as well. Hence the recommendation. So I want to thank staff for including that. We're strengthening language on our expectations on substance. We're providing clarity for the board's expectation to our community, and really to reiterate our mandate for this district when it comes to substance, and it's and the fact that that's strictly prohibited. And there's a lot of conversations out there about where our district is at for these matters. And, I just want to say, based on what we're presenting today in our policy, there is absolutely no mixed signal from what I can see. These are not acceptable on school grounds, and that's a full stop. So we're committed to doing this work, and I hope the community is assured that we are doing exactly that.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Great. Thank you. Okay, board committee and representative reports. Council Board Liaison Committee is meeting. The meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, November 6th at 9:30. BCSTA, Trustee Yang.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. So the Provincial Council for BCSTA will be held this weekend on Friday and Saturday, and we will be reviewing the audited space statements for the association. There's also an interesting piece on, so at the AGM earlier this year, we delegates had passed a motion to explore non-voting student delegates at our future AGM. So there will be some information for discussion, and certainly we'll be there to gather that information and report back in due time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. BCPC, Trustee Tablotny.
Yes, so I will be attending as BCPC rep the symposium for the BC School Employers Association, and it's strategies for successful bargaining. So there's 2 days full of bargaining conversation. Should be interesting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're down to item 12, correspondence. We don't have any for action. We do, oops, where are we? Trustee Yang, please go ahead with.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. So I had asked for Minister Mark Miller's letter to be added to the agenda tonight, just so there's some full circle to what is actually what we have actually received. So if folks will recall, the board had sent out an advocacy letter last year in June, advocating to the federal government for several things, including the change in model with our current in the way in which Swiss funding was being granted to our district. Right now, it's based on a agreement model where, you know, there has to be rigid and stringent reporting back to IRCC. What we had asked for was a switch to a grant model, so it provides that flexibility for, you know, our school district. You know, our educators and staff are very busy, and so having that flexibility was important, as well as, you know, items on just greater funding for Swiss programs to account for the unfunded work that we're doing supporting families. And so a year later, we have received that back, and in the letter, unfortunately, the minister does not make any firm commitments to adding supports, and does not commit to a switch to that grant model that we asked for, which is certainly unfortunate. But you know, I think it's also important to take this time to recognize the work that Swiss does for our community. Oftentimes, a Swiss settlement worker is the first person that any newcomer family will see and have a conversation with in this country. So it's vitally important program for our community. The fact that several schools share a Swiss program when, you know, the needs are so great, I mean, it really begs the question of, you know, are we doing enough to support, are senior governments coming to the table to support programs like these, which support new Canadians? And so it's worthy of highlighting, and I think there's some information in the letter that staff can take under advisement for further liaising with IRCC staff, because I think certainly there could be solutions in terms of the reporting of expenses and what have you, but I think those would be certainly helpful for staff to further engage. But yeah, no, Swiss is very important for our community, and we could use a little more help. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
I just,
Thank you, Trustee Yang.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say it took them a long time to get back to us. But thankful that our MP, Parm Baines, because we had had a meeting with our two MPs as well, and advocated with them for the Swiss program. So I guess they did their work, and it says that MP Baines had forwarded the letter. So thankful to that, and thank you to our MP for doing that.
Okay. Well, we have no further business for the evening, so I will ask for a mover and second, moved by Trustee Yang and seconded by Trustee Beliza to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you very much.